Starting now.
Hello, and welcome to 2023 and another year of our Women Who Lead series. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And I get a chance today to connect with some prominent leaders who are driving forces behind their organizations. Each of these women that you see on the screen has worked their way up the leadership ladder and are an inspiration to all whose lives they touch, including my own. My name is Teresa Palacios Smith, and I'm Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for Home Services of America. And I am the host of this wonderful and powerful series where I get a chance to meet with industry leaders who share their experiences over un cafecito, as you know, that cup of coffee. And we're going to get started because I really want to hear from these prominent leaders today. So let me introduce them. With me today is Brenna Dunn. Brenna Dutton is the Chief Lending Officer for Prosperity Home Mortgage, and she has over 20 years of experience in the mortgage industry. And today she oversees the credit culture and also the quality control of the organization. Her goal is to deliver excellent customer service to both internal and external customers, and she works closely with Prosperity Home Mortgage's community lending team, which I do as well, in ensuring sustainable homeownership opportunities are available for all. I love that, Brenna. Brenna attended Montgomery College and also the University of Maryland. So welcome, Brenna, to the show today. And you were actually one of those that was recommended by various of the people that work with you, including April Alexander. And I know she's watching this show. So April, thank you so much for that recommendation. Deanne Golden. Deanne is President and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Georgia Properties, which is a real estate market leader generating over $5.2 billion in sales in 2021. She leads over 1,600 associates with 29 locations across Georgia. She's a 26-year real estate veteran and a second-generation realtor with vast leadership, training, coaching, and marketing experience. And Deanne has held numerous executive leadership positions, including, she was actually on the show back when she was the 2019 president of the Atlanta Realtor Association. She's a longtime industry innovator who is passionate about helping others, and that is so true. And she's a native, I have to say this, of Georgia, and from Athens, home of the college football national championship team. That is the Georgia Bulldogs. We're so proud of our Bulldogs, right, Deanne? And she's also the proud mother of Grace 14 and Wilson. And so welcome, Deanne. You've got some young kids, which we're going to talk about today as well. And it's an honor to have you on the show again. And Jackie Thiel. Jackie is the Executive Vice President of General Brokerage for Long and Foster. And she's responsible for all aspects of real estate, sales operations, and the support. And listen to this, for the company's 200 plus offices in 8 states, including Washington, D.C. That is so impressive, Jackie. She has 30 years of experience in real estate and management, and she became part of the Long and Foster family when it acquired Bowers, Nelms, and Bonneville, which is the company that she worked for in 1998. And she also has held numerous leadership positions within the Long and Foster family and has served on several industry boards, committees, and charities. She received her Bachelor from the Science in Education from Franciscan. I love that. Franciscan University in Ohio, and studied educational psychology at the graduate level at the University of Oregon, which is so impressive. And I know that has come in handy in our profession for sure, Jackie. So welcome as well. And I'm so excited to have all of you on the show this year, and also to hear, one of the things that I always am interested in, because we are focused on real estate and we focus on leaders that really have made an impact. And that's this year's 2023 goal for me for our diversity, equity, and inclusion, is to make an impact. And so how did you get started in this industry, especially in real estate and also in the mortgage side? So I'm going to start with you, Brenna.
Absolutely. So this is something I love to share. I actually got started in the industry as a receptionist at a mortgage company, the front desk signing for the UPS packages.
Yes.
I, right outside after college, trying to figure out where do I want to go with this finance, and I loved it. And I started really looking at the folks in the office, learning processing, underwriting, closing, and it was not long that I knew exactly where I wanted to go, which was straight to the top through the management, and it's just been a great experience. So it was by accident and a passion that I just loved.
Wow, I love that. And it's so impressive that you got your foot right at that. What Dan used to say, the chief of first impressions. Do you remember that, Dan? That
Yes,
person that you first meet that really makes that impression within the
it does.
company. And you
The
really get to learn every single role that happens, and who's being called, and what their important pieces are within the organization. So thank you for sharing that. How about you,
Certainly.
Jackie?
So a little bit by happenstance, of course, I graduated college, got married, moved to the West Coast where my husband's from, and his job took us to Sacramento, California. Having an education degree, I wanted to be a teacher and eventually move on up from there, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But, at the time, Sacramento, California's economy wasn't the best, and they were not hiring. School districts weren't hiring teachers. And so I answered an ad because we found jobs by the classified ads at that time, and went to work for a builder developer who I started representing new homes and got into new home sales. My husband's job then transferred us to Dallas, Texas. And so I went to work in the field of commercial property management and commercial leasing. And then again, my husband's job transferred us to Richmond, Virginia. And I went to work for a large financial institution. I quickly learned that wasn't for me. No offense, Brenna. But I really missed the energy, the passion, and the people connection that real estate brought. And so again, I answered an ad, and I went to work in an executive support role for Richmond, Virginia's, at the time, largest real estate firm, Bowers, Numbs, and Bonville, that was bought by Long & Foster in 1998. And it's been a great ride ever since.
Well, I mean, I think it's so impressive that you started in education. And one of the things that I have seen a common thread as I've interviewed the leaders in these organizations, that many of them, that's where they started. They were either teachers or they started with a background in education. They love that feeling of teaching others and then also helping others. And I think that's why it plays so well in the leadership roles that you've taken on. So again, congratulate you for what you're doing. And again, now, Deanne, let's talk about you and your background as well. And I know yours a little bit. It's exciting, but I love your story.
It's a special one, and it just got some parallels here with Brenna and Jackie. I'll weave in. That's what I love so much about your show. But I always say I went on my first open house in 1978. Now, yes, I was 8, but I was the daughter of my broker at the time, or who would ultimately become my broker, who was my mother. And that was when my mother started her career in real estate in 1978. And for 20 years, I was not going to follow in her footsteps. I was going to do something different. But flash forward again, kind of that happenstance, like Jackie said, I was pursuing my MBA. And I needed a job. I needed to pay off my student debts. And my mother needed a receptionist, Brenna. And so, true story, I started my career as a receptionist, and then was going to be spending a summer in Charleston. And I drove over the bridges there, over the Cooper River Bridge, and they were hiring for a receptionist at a real estate company. So I pulled in.
Brilliant. And
the rest is history. I did complete my MBA, but the calling was there. And I love what you said, Jackie, because that's what I think drew me to, was the people and being able to help others. And I'd watched my mother do it for so many years, of welcoming people into our community. And she became a part of their family and welcoming them into the community, or helping them make moves, or called in at different times. So 26 years later, this is what I'm doing.
And she was a force to be reckoned with in the Athens market, just extremely strong. So I love that you left Charlotte. You actually left to prove yourself in another market, and then came back and came to work for, I know, Atlanta, right? For Prudential Atlanta Realty at the time with Dan. So exciting. And all the different connectivity points, right? Is really interesting. So, our agents are really struggling right now, especially, if you are, newer to the business. So one of the things that I always ask is, how do we, keep our businesses competitive and really relevant as we experience these changes. And they're not dramatic like they were back in 2008 for those of us that were in the market at the time. But for many agents, they've not experienced this, right? They've only seen the highs that has happened. So, how do we, talk to our agents and our loan officers about making sure that they do well during this times that we're going through? And I'll start with you, Jackie.
So, with being in business over 50 years with Long and Foster, we recognize that there's, ups and downs are part of the normal business cycle. And so we've learned how to, survive, actually thrive in these types of markets. And we do that through, we help our agents with recognizing that it's going to pass. And this is a time to be able to do some of the things to prepare for this more normal market. It's a shift actually to a more normal market, and to do those things to get back to basics and to prepare for the times which are good and not so good. And actually, it's never not so good. It's just different, I guess, not as robust as the last few years. And, as a company, staying competitive is something that's always foremost on our minds, not only for us as a company, but for our agents and their consumers as well. And so, we've done that by listening to consumers and listening to agents, doing strategic planning with that information and some innovation. And, one example that has come out of that is our all-inclusive experience that we offer. And we feel like that not only makes our business strong, but it offers the very best support for our agents and for their clients as well in turn. And, consumers, they do want the convenience of going, to one place to complete their home buying and home selling experience. And so when somebody works with a Long and Foster agent, of course, they can, buy a home, get a mortgage, arrange for their closing, insurance, moving services, inspection, and we also even offer vacation rentals. So, all aspects of the real estate experience with buying and selling, owning, investing can be done with Long and Foster. And that has really helped us stand out and made our business strong and helped our agents stand out as well.
Wow, I love that. And it's so true, right? That opportunity to actually get everything done under one umbrella, but more importantly, that you can control it so that if something does go wrong, you've got those connections and you've got those relationships within the house that can say, hey, let's fix this now because there's an issue here. And I couldn't agree with you on how that really can help an agent today be successful. How about you, Deanne?
I'll just kind of chime into Jackie about educating the consumer more. And that is something that, we watched our dear sister company, Long and Foster, do so well. And we really are taking an intentional focus on that with our own associates. This is that reset time. It is the time to ensure that they are back to basics and that they are knowledgeable and that they can really communicate, the process of buying and selling and kind of straightening it back out from all the clutter that has been coming at them over the past couple of years. And so, rather than being concerned about the headlines in the news, which, that always trails a couple of months for the most part in many regards, stay focused on being with your consumers, your clients, your sphere of influence, educating them, taking out their real estate property marketing reviews, bringing them the lifestyle planning guides that our dear friend Alan Dalton has created and Christy has helped our network also see, because the consumer is also going through a mindset shift and trying to weigh fact from fiction and what's the right choice for them at the right time to make a move. It's even all the more important for our associates, even if their transaction count might be slowing just a tad, but to stay connected. And that's our biggest charge here, and giving them the resources, I think, to be better educators and community marketers and community spokespeople to speak the opportunities that are out there.
Well, I love that forever planning guide because, yesterday, actually, my neighbor came over and we were talking, and he's looking at selling his home in the next year. He said, I'm downsizing. I'm thinking about selling my home. And of course I said, well, I'm a real estate, I'm in real estate. I always have to say that. I said, but you might want to have somebody come out to your home now. And you know why? Because there might be things that you want to do to your house to get it ready in a year. And it's the perfect time now to do that and not to make those costly repairs that you think are going to work that might not be needed. during the time that you're ready to put the home on the sale. So just to get that advice as to what you need to get done, but then also to future plan, where do you want to be? How many houses do you want to, buy? Is this it? So that it's like almost like that forever planning. I love that. And so again, great information. How about you, Brenna?
Yeah, absolutely. To follow up, this is definitely an opportunity for us here at Prosperity to educate agents and consumers by offering just a variety of products. Look, there's buy downs, there's showing homeowners, future homeowners and customers, if there's a house you want today, a home, that's a great option. And here are some marvelous financing options where you can refinance down the road, educating all of our agents, our customers with all the products that we have. And this is really a time for us. It's our opportunity to impress not only those customers, but those agents to understand there's options for folks that want to get into a house. There's more than just vanilla. There's a lot of different programs that we offer, and we encourage our MCs to get in front of the agents, in front of the customers, to educate them. That's how we get through this era into the next era. It is still a great time to buy, a great time to get that home, and there's a lot of different options available.
Well, and I think a lot of our agents that were used to just doing these types of loans really don't know the nitty gritty of the different community programs that are out there that can help that first time home buyer get into a home, which right now they think they can't do because they don't have the down payment to be able to do that. And I think that is probably the one area that agents can really do a lot of work out there to really start to educate yourself on these programs that now can provide opportunities for sustainable home ownership for the people out in the community that you're serving. So I love that answer, and I think it's true. And that's why our community lending team with Prosperity does such a great job, because of all the wonderful programs that are available. So we're going to shift to what I believe is our leadership. Like what, I think that what inspires me, because I see all of you and I see your positions and where where you've come from. And again, that's just a mirror into what anyone that's listening that wants to do this can also reach. So who in your career made the biggest impact, influenced you to say, hey, take that next step? Or just in general? And Brent, I'll start with you.
Oh, well, I'll tell you, this is hands down very easy. And that individual is Tim Wilson. And I will tell you this, and he has provided me 8.5 years ago the opportunity to do what I love to do, which is helping customers, consumers, developing relationships with sales, with agents. It's all about developing relationships, supporting our communities. And there's nothing like that feeling of getting that first time home buyer into the home, being such an integral part of that. It's having that opportunity to impress every day and develop those relationships and really help our community and lending division, all of our prospective applicants. So hands down.
He's so passionate. And I mean, I love Tim. I mean, he's just been such an inspiration to me and a role model as well. Just the way he talks, and he's just real direct, and he's got a wit. I love it.
It is. And just really quickly, Tim recruited me from a company that I've been with 19 years. And I'll tell you, it's in his theme and mindset of taking that opportunity to impress folks. When you can make a difference, do it. Man, I knew that Prosperity was the place that I had to be to continue my career. So he absolutely is the most influential person in my career, hands down.
Oh, I love that. How about you, Jackie?
So just like Brenna, it's an easy one, and his name is Dick Nelms. Unfortunately, he passed away 2 years ago, but I had the pleasure of working with him for over 20 years. And he was the owner of Bowers, Nelms and Fonville, who I started with in Richmond, that became part of Long and Foster, and Southern gentleman, to the T. And he had the confidence in me and believed in me in areas that I never would have thought for myself that I could excel in. And he gave me every opportunity to grow. He put me in situations that were very uncomfortable, I can tell you. And because, even being a teacher, standing in front of peers of adults, of 200 is very different than standing in a classroom of 10-year-olds, of 30 10-year-olds. And so he would call on me to get up and speak and explain some things that I was doing with projects and other things on a whim. And so and I was very uncomfortable with that, and I thought he was mean. I thought that was cruel at the time, but it was one of the very best things that he's ever done. And in that situation and in other challenging situations that I think he really put me in, but it enabled me to grow. And he also he allowed me to challenge myself, to grow as well, and get involved in other aspects in the company of just the executive support. You know, I volunteered for projects that and initiatives that marketing was doing, with our IT department was doing, and other things. And so it really helped me see how all the puzzle pieces came together to create the big picture. And has helped me ever since.
Wow, Jackie. And I think that is so insightful, because a lot of people don't realize that that's the key to growth, is just really being scared. And I always say, anytime you're scared to death, that means you're growing, and that it's really where you need to be. And also the fact that the insight of putting you in different roles, because sometimes, like, I've been put in different, and I'm like, I hate this. Like, this is not the part. But what I've learned is, wow, I really learned something about this whole process that I didn't know. And so it really does educate, and it certainly sounds like it has for you as well. And I love that. That's a true teaching moment for so many people out there. Get uncomfortable being uncomfortable, because that's when you're really able to advance yourself. Deanne, how about you?
Well, I know, like everyone on this call, I mean, there's just been so many. It's so hard to name just one. I mean, having the privilege of working with Dan Forsman and Tony McGowan here at Georgia Properties for the past 18 years, you know, obviously they have been influential in so many leaders in our network across the nation, from Gino and Christy and you, Teresa. But, you know, the one I'm going to share today is the person that saw me at the front desk. And when other people might have just walked by or didn't take time to get to know me, you know, Tim Guy in Charleston, South Carolina, took time to get to know me and be that first person, much like Jackie, that says, you can do this, you can do more, you can take on other responsibilities, you can become a sales associate, come work with me, come ride with me, come watch, come learn, come ask questions. There's no, you know, dumb questions. And so I think, like, as I look back on my 26-year career now, at every juncture in my career where someone came to me and said, Deanne, I want you to take on more, I want you to try this, or you know, Dan would say, please, you know, you're going to go manage an office, and I might have questioned my own abilities at the time, I would contact him. And he would be that one and say, you can do this. Put the fear aside. You can do this. And don't feel like you've got to be ready to take it on. Learn as you go. And wherever you are, be there, kind of to the Jim Rohn, and absorb it and lean in on others. So I think when you can find people like that see more in you than you ever can see in yourself or have the confidence to, that's a powerful, inspiring force in your life. So grab onto those.
Oh, I love that. I didn't get a chance to meet him. So what a great, leader. And that's one thing that you're right. You know, when people help you see what you can't see in yourself, that's really what helps the most. And I know, Deanne, you and I've talked about this. You know, many women struggle, you know, with balancing their work and personal life. And you have taken on the role. This is a recent role as CEO and president. You've actually been in leadership very high at presidents, but, you know, being in charge of the whole kit and caboodle, right? How do you do it? How do you balance that with your young children? Because you have a daughter and a young son that's 11 and right, 13. Is that correct?
Grace is 14, and
14.
She's already telling me that she'll be driving in less than 6 months. And she might not agree that I always balance everything great, but you know what? And that's okay. And I think that's the point, is we're all human, and you just have to do your best. And so with the two small children, you know, raising them, widowed myself throughout that journey, you know, being able to let my children know that there was times they were not going to be happy with me. There were times I might let them down, but to keep the communication. And I've really tried to keep them involved in knowing what I do and understanding what I do, so that maybe they can appreciate ways they can help. And so when, you know, Grace has the opportunity now to pop pop into the office. She was looking at a pen map study the other day, and she started to ask questions. And so I think if as mothers, here today, if you can engage your children to understand a little better of what you're trying to do, they may have a little more grace and understanding. And then certainly, I mentioned the Jim Rohn quote that Tim shared with me. It's be there. And when you're with your children, be there totally, fully. Give them your all. When you're at work, or when you're exercising, or when you're doing your meditation, or when you're doing what you do to fill you up. As hard as it is to stay in that moment, you have to be there. And it's not always perfect, and the beds don't always get made.
Well, I will tell you, I was so and we were all in tears when you were inducted. I had the opportunity to be there, and I could see Grace and Will. They were both so proud of you. It makes you cry because you see their pride and how they're smiling and crying and so happy for you. So I think that is certainly a testament of how well you've been able to balance it. Anyone else that wants to chime in, certainly feel free to do so. I know for me, it was always very difficult. And the one thing my daughter and my son said to me that they would never do, I said, was there something you would do differently? He goes, Mom, we would not be the last person to be picked up at the school. Because they were always the last kids. He goes, we will not do that to our kids. I said, oh gosh, I hate that. But, I said, well, you have to work, you have to run, and traffic in Atlanta is not easy. But yeah, I was always the last child picked up. So anyway.
I think one thing that Deanne said was really important is, helping set those expectations with your kids. In reality, there is no work-life balance. And, just accepting that you are doing the best that you can, I think is really important. Having like my daughter, she always knew that she came first. If it wasn't right immediate, I always set the expectation of when she could be. And then I did give her my very full attention. And I think, it's with anything, with not only with your kids, but with your other relationships, it's being present when you're there. The quantity of time is very important, but the quality of time is the most important thing. And so creating those moments, traditions, experiences, and those type of things with your children, so that when you're not physically present, those thoughts are still there. And and I think has helped me anyways with my daughter. We always, when she was 7, we took a girls trip to Disney World. My husband had gone, he's not a big Disney fan. And so the girls thought they would go to Disney World. And it was such an amazing experience, and connecting with her, and just that special time away from work, away from school. And it was just us, that we've continued to this day to take a girls trip every single year.
Oh, wow. I love that.
And it is it's something that we both truly enjoy.
Oh, that's really special. Yeah, I think I couldn't agree with you more. Actually, with Jessica, she and I would always take a trip to New York because I was born there, and we would go see Broadway and all the shows. And then with Jeffrey, I would do something special with him too, So again, you got to do something with your children that just helps them. And now I think Facebook really helps. I mean, not Facebook, but the FaceTime, because a lot of times you can actually see things, right? Obviously, it's not the same as being there, but you're able to connect with them more if you're traveling. I think that's really helped. So let me ask you each, I know that this business is about risk taking. I'm not good at taking risk at all, I'll be honest with you. It's probably the thing that I, am the worst at. But you have to take risks. So what's the biggest one that y'all have taken that you can share with others? And what was the outcome of that risk? And I'll start with you, Brenna.
Yeah, well, I think so. The biggest risk are certainly the ones worth taking. I guess I'll compare it to this. Was it a risk to leave the comfort zone in a company 19 years?
Yeah.
Was that a risk for someone named Tim Wilson to be reaching out and saying, hey, come talk to me, and you belong here, and here's why. And I'll tell you, it's the best decision I ever made. And that things that challenge us, where you think, oh my goodness, is this a risk? those are some of the best decisions that you make. And I think when you look at taking risks, you look at what's involved. A risk, being able to further develop customer service, engage in community lending, further assist homebuyers in so many more ways, and such a larger platform was just exciting. And that's a risk. Any type of change can be stressful, whether it's the best positive change or things that you think, oh, should I? But that was the biggest risk. But I would say it was really an opportunity more so than a risk. And it's risks are worth taking. When the benefits are there, when you can help others and really give to your community and those around you, those are risks definitely worth taking.
Great. Dan?
I look at risks the same way. They're opportunities. It's a new door to open and try to find a way to break through it. And thinking through this as I listen to Brenna, I think mine would be a similar where I was asked to take over an office. It's probably been about 10 or 11 years now that had a world of opportunity. But at the time it wasn't going in the right direction. And I remember getting that call and saying, we need your help here. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, where do I start? How do I begin? It's got, again, a world of opportunity, but it was in a bad place, if you will. And I just remember hearing, Dan at the time say, Dan, I need you to make a decision now. I need you to be there tomorrow. And I just remember instantly going, if he believes I can help, then let's go for it. Let's do it. Let's figure it out, and we'll back into it and we'll give it our all. And true story, it was ultimately the evolution of what we called here the smart office, where we did a very small footprint. It was innovative. It was different, not for every office, but it was the right choice at the right time. And we just went all in. And I remember just kind of thinking, okay, strap on, here we go. But we knew we had to make a change. And I think that's when you've got a situation that might be a risk, but it is an imperative change that could make a world of difference. Go in with the mindset that you can make an impact and give it your all, and it will turn out okay. And you'll learn along the way. Some of the best parts of that experience were maybe in some things that didn't go as well as we had thought, but you can learn from them and be better ready for the next moment. So I think risks we need to take more of them and know that it's okay to not know how to do them, but to give it your all, and you'll get through.
And I like that you said, not everything went well, but you learned from what didn't, and then you're like, okay, we learned that, and now we can change that and move forward. But I totally agree that office is amazing and smaller footprint, but some dynamic agents are out of that office. So, how about you, Jackie?
So, any type of change is a risk, as Deanne and Brenna said, but a colleague once told me and gave me some really good advice. It's not the decisions that you make that's a risk or that'll get you in trouble. It's the difficult ones that you need to make, but don't make. That's the risk, and that will get you in trouble. And so that has been wonderful advice and has given me the courage to change some things that, in my area of responsibility throughout my career. And, I think if you are very confident in what you need to do, the decision that you need to make, and your plan to execute it, are clearly communicated to those who are, it affects in a way that resonates with them, not because of what you need to do, but how it's going to affect them. And just be consistent in your follow through and messaging. Oftentimes that decision isn't as risky and the results aren't as bad as what you had feared. And, people they don't always agree with the decisions that you make, but they'll certainly understand and respect them if they understand and respect them if you do those three things.
Oh, I think that's so, enlightening, because when you know the why, the how becomes easy, right? Why are you doing this, that risk? And this is how we can do it. I like that a lot. One thing I always say, is there anything that you would do differently, or, in the career, and that you recommend others do differently than what they're doing now? And anyone can answer this, because I know I've done things and I'm like, I wish I would have done that earlier. That's something I would have done differently. or bought more houses. I wish I would have invested, right? Which is the one thing that Alan Dalton says, who regrets not buying more houses? Everyone does, right? So, is there anything else that any of you think of that would be something you'd say, hey, I wish I would have done that differently?
Well, I'll start off here. Not so much something I would have done differently, but some advice that I would give is, I was very fortunate to have some amazing mentors throughout my entire career. And I listened to the mentors. I really followed them, and I would tell folks that, if they're not developed with great mentors, find them and really learn from them. I think that's very key in any type of leadership, and also with leaders. Surround yourself with other great people. Surround yourself with great team members around you. That makes great leadership. But I would just recommend for folks to get those great mentors and follow them, and that will make you great.
Oh, I like that. Anyone else?
I'd echo the exact same.
Yeah.
Mentors, ask for help. It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay for people to know you don't know all the answers. And I think that is probably one of the biggest ones, and to lean into others, and you'll learn more and you'll all be better and you can exchange ideas. But yeah, mentors.
I think that's so, true, because a lot of times we think it's a weakness when we ask for help, or that we don't know something, we're not going to admit, oh, I don't know how to do that. So I think, I've gotten the most, people are so willing to help you if you just become vulnerable and say, you know what, I don't know how to do that at all. Can you help me figure it out? Because I know you're an expert in this area. And honestly, I need to get better at it, and just follow it. And then obviously follow with those people that are smarter, brighter, and better than you. And positive people, my God, they make a difference, especially when you're undergoing different circumstances in your life. Those positive people really make a difference. All right. On advice, Brenna, you brought it up. So what advice would you give others? Because we're kind of rounding out our time. So what advice would you give others that you wish somebody would have given you years ago about, help that would help you in your career, as a realtor, as a lender? What advice would you give others? Jackie, how about you?
So just what was mentioned, is surround yourself with others who are better than you, because you usually, like in sports, you play up to the level. And so you're going to rise to the occasion and to the level of other people in the way that they work. I think that's very important. And the advice that I would give to others is just like through my own experience, don't just limit your activities that you do in your job to just your job description. Expand, your skills, expand your experiences by getting involved in things that may really not, fit that's listed in your job description. And it gives you a ton of experience to be able to head in any direction that you really want, because it gives you a well-rounded experience. Be patient. I would give people just coming up through their careers, be patient. I think, with everything that's offered to us and the expectation of immediacy, that has translated into careers. And, people just starting out want to start out at the management level. And there is just so much benefit of starting from the ground up and getting those ground level experiences and other exposures that will help you build upon your own skill and your own desire to be what you want to be.
I like that. I know that here in Atlanta, UPS is headquartered here, and I just want to share, I heard their CEO one time speak that all their leadership, anyone that has gone into their leadership at one time, I don't know if it's still the case, started off as a driver. And that's because they really wanted those individuals to understand the process of what it takes to deliver the packages on time, and the drive and the routes and everything that a delivery person has to do, because that's who they manage. That's who their clients are, right? Who their employees are. So I thought that was really insightful. How about you, Deanne?
We all, try to live our why. I mean, Simon Sinek's taught us that, but something I think, we can all kind of embrace is also the why not. If you're really living out your why, why not accomplish it? Why not it come your way? Why not make an impact on other people. I think so often we wait on timing, or we think it can't happen or it won't happen in due time. But why not? Why not? Why not paint that vision and make a difference each day? And it may not come out the way you thought, but if you live with that mindset, there's going to be a plan and doors are going to open. And it's like when Sheryl Sandberg, I love her. I read a lot of her books, and Lean In is a great one. She says, if you're given a seat on a rocket ship, don't ask which seat, just get on, strap on and go for the ride. And so that would probably be my best piece of advice, because I think so often we're kind of waiting and looking for those opportunities or wondering when they'll come. But when one comes, just jump on and take it for a ride.
I like that. And with Sheryl Sandberg, and you brought this up, Brenna, was about mentors. And the one thing I thought that was really, really nice to hear was that a mentor is not someone you always work with one-on-one, because sometimes people are really busy, but it's somebody that you follow and that you learn from and that you see what they're doing. And there's so many opportunities now, like on this show, that you can see the leaders and what they're doing to help you, and then follow that individual as a mentor and throughout their career to help you. Because a lot of times it's hard to really kind of connect one-on-one with people that have super busy schedules. But with you, Brenna, what would you say?
Well, I would say this: whenever you have an opportunity to impress, whenever you have the opportunity to make a positive impact on someone's life, a customer, a coworker, a teammate, take it. Always take that. Go beyond, go beyond, go beyond all the time. And I'll tell you, if anyone wants a great customer service reference, this is one of my favorite books. It's called The $6,000 Egg, and it's by Deb Duncan. It's the most amazing customer service, kind of the golden rules of customer service. And it's just a great read. But whenever you have that opportunity to impress, go for it, grab it, and take it every time.
Oh, I like that book. I've not read that one.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. Have you seen it, Dan? It looks like you're familiar with it. So, but that you brought up something that I like too, because people do love to read or listen to Audible or to watch videos that can help them self-improve. So what training courses, and I know, Dan, you are big into training. I mean, I know that that's something that you are passionate. You've been involved as a leader, as a trainer. So courses, books, anything that can help one improve.
Oh goodness. I mean, there's a host. Find what interests you. And I live on Audible and I love podcasts, and I've just got the book Dare to Lead right here by Brene Brown. I've been flipping through this, and you mentioned vulnerability earlier. And so many of these great authors now have podcasts, or they have where you can get your daily dose of inspiration. So I know a lot of times on the go, it may not allow me to go to a 3-day course or take off time and to go to something like that. Although, I do believe in those, or time block when you're scheduled to do that. But where you can even get 20 minutes of that positivity in your day, it accumulates and it gives you something to reference, and it gives you a frame of reference. Those would probably be some of my biggest ones right now on the go. But there's, the podcast ability right now. And that's why Teresa, I go back and I listen to your podcast, or if there's a certain topic, we can go back and when we need it, where you need it. And I love that instant in the palm of your hand. So again, thank you for what you do with this.
No, absolutely. Thank you for, again, being on the show and really helping our audience get to know each of you. How about you, Jackie?
So, being a former teacher, I do have a passion for learning. And so there's so many resources now that are online that you can take online courses, the Khan Academy, YouTube videos, podcasts, anything just to improve your personal and your professional self. I just finished a few months ago a book, and it was called Friday Forward by Robert Glazier. And it too has, like Deanne mentioned, there's some weekly newsletters that go out, and there are also some workbooks that you can buy to go along and journal your journey through what is taught in Friday Forward. But it's the book really helps you end the week stronger than you started it.
Oh, wow.
And it's a motivational and inspirational series of 52 short stories that are intended for you to read on Fridays. And it helps you, it focuses on improving your personal capacities, which there are 4 buckets on, to be the best version of you. spiritually, intellectually, physically, and emotionally. And so
Oh, I like
it's
that.
a great read, and not only with the book, but also with the weekly newsletter subscriptions that you can sign up for, which are free.
So you read it on Friday so that you can get your week each
Right.
week. I like that a lot. I think I'm going to do that. Will be my next book to read. I actually recommend also, there's so much YouTube motivational, Mel Robbins, because there have been days that I have not been able to get out of bed. And so Mel Robbins is one of those that just get out of bed, count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, out. And so just, I know that seems easy, but it really does help. And watching those motivational individuals that just kind of inspire you has been something that I think that I also recommend for others, that really does get you in that sense of positiveness that we need, especially as we're trying to get work with our realtors and with the communities that we represent. All right, last one. So what is your favorite quote that resonates? I love quotes. I think that's the one thing that for me resonates the most. So if you have a favorite quote that you want to share and end our broadcast with, because it's time is up for us. And I'll start with you, Jackie, and then Brenna, and then end with Deanne.
Can I give you two?
Yes, absolutely.
So there is one, she's a beautiful poet, Maya Angelou, and she has said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you do, but people will never forget how you treated them. And
I love
think
that. Love
that's
it.
very
It's my
powerful.
favorites on my wall. Mhm.
And really my motto. The second one is a little bit lighter, and it is whatever you do today, do it with the same confidence of a 4-year-old wearing a Batman t-shirt.
Oh, I like that. That's cute. Brenna?
Absolutely. So two as well. And I did just mention the one, opportunity to impress. That's the quote, something that I have posted on the wall in my office, something that it just keeps you in that great mindset. And also long ago, there was actually a fortune cookie, the little saying that said, anything is possible in life and in dreams. And I have kept that for 30 some years. And it really is true. If your career goals, your personal goals, if you really want them, you can achieve them. You can find a path. And so those two things really drive me and then my positive attitude.
Oh, I think that you can see that as well. And I like the Chinese.
Yes.
Dan?
All right, so I'll leave us with two also. One is from Pericles. What you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but what's woven into the lives of others. And I
Oh,
love that.
wow.
And then my fun one would be maybe the Brene Brown one, where, be the energy you want to experience in a room. Be that energy. So,
Oh, wow. And I love both of those. Those are great quotes. I really like the first one a lot. That's really nice. Well, I really have enjoyed having all of you in our conversation today, and really appreciate you sharing your backgrounds and sometimes personal things with our audience. They really do love it, and so do I. And I found this great quote, which I think is so insightful about how you inspire me and others. And I think it's really so true, especially hearing all of you today. But leaders instill in their people a hope for success and a belief in themselves. Positive leaders empower people to accomplish their goals. And I think all of you really touch the people you work with, help them accomplish their goals just by the way that you are and the way you live. So thank you again for being us and being such a great role model for so many people. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today as well. One thing I want to also remind you is you can also find, and we talked about watching past episodes, you can catch all of these right here on this Facebook page, but you can also catch our podcast. It's really easy. It's Women Who Lead Podcast.com, and that will have all the series on it that convert from this series onto the podcast. So make sure you comment, like our page, join our YouTube channel. We do have a YouTube channel as well. And join me back here on February 8th. We're going to be zooming in on another great team of great leaders. And last but not least, thank you for watching the show. And remember one thing, I've started with a new phrase this year, and it's when you help another woman rise, we all shine. And that's how we make an impact. So let's build each other up and shine brighter than the sun. Thanks again, everyone. See you next time. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you all.